Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you're in the world. Welcome to my daily Instagram live / YouTube if you're going to be watching it later. We are doing the Deuteronomy series, that is the book of Deuteronomy in the Bible. And currently we are on chapter 6. So before we get into it, let's just do a quick recap of yesterday. It's chapter 5. We were introduced again to the 10 Commandments by Moses. So the first time that the 10 Commandments was brought in was in Exodus. And then again, it was reiterated to the children of Israel as the 10 Commandments was for them. So that's basically what chapter 5 was about. So if you don't know the 10 Commandments, go refer back to Deuteronomy Chapter 5, or you could check out my YouTube because I posted yesterday's video on there so that you can catch the recap. So today we are exploring Chapter 6. This is a very short chapter. And basically I just highlighted the verses that I think were different from what we've already read. And that way we could focus on discussing those today. At the end, I'm going to be opening up the conversation to the comment section. So try to save your comments that are related to the topic until after I finish so that I can get to your comments a lot faster. Let's begin. Okay, so I highlighted basically verse 4 to 10, where it says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates." So this is a commandment that the Lord gave to us to not just take the word of God and to hoard it for yourself, but basically to spread it as much as possible. He said, put it on the door frames, put it on your heads, put it on your wrists, whatever you have to do. And also pass it to your children, because one of our purposes in life is to serve God, and how we have to do that is to spread his word. So if in your life today you are not discussing what God has commanded us to do, remember, these are commandments. These aren't optional advice given by God. This is a commandment. So if you are not participating in what it says here, then you might want to start, or you might want to look at how you can incorporate that into your daily life, for it is commanded of God. Then in verse 12, it says, "Be careful that you do not forget the Lord, who brought you out of slavery, out of the land of slavery." So it reiterates that don't forget, because you were gifted such a beautiful blessing. And oftentimes I do feel like it's human nature that when we work hard for something, we appreciate it more, and we are a bit more grateful for getting there. Like, let's say that you go to college and you studied your butt off and you really worked hard for your degree. You're going to be very proud of that degree. You're going to understand the sacrifice that it took for you to get that degree. So you're going to be more grateful for your hard work. But if you were just given an honorary degree, you're probably not going to really care about it. You're not going to appreciate it as much because you didn't work hard. You don't know the sacrifice that it would have taken for you to get there. And that is what God is reminding us. Remember, he understands human nature. So out of all beings, of course, he knows that we have a tendency to, out of sight, out of mind, forget and lose our gratitude for what he has done for us. And I even have to constantly police myself and remind myself, thank God for your food. Thank God for waking up in the morning. Thank God that I went through the day and, was able to have my family near and have my friends and have work and, have a life that I don't have to struggle too hard and, whatever. But being grateful is so important. It keeps you even keel. It keeps you humble. So it really is a gift what God has done for us. He didn't have to bring us out of slavery. He didn't have to give us any inheritance in any way, shape, or form. Nor did he have to give us the gift of salvation. In fact, we were the ones that needed those things. And God loved us so much that he decided to give that to us. But that doesn't mean that you are to take it for granted at all. So do not forget him. And then fear the Lord, serve him only, and take your oaths in his name. Do not follow other gods, the gods of other people around you, for the Lord your God who is among you is a jealous God, and his anger will burn against you, and he will destroy you from the face of the land. Also very important, and we went a bit more into detail about that in chapter 5 in yesterday's reading. And that's very self-explanatory. However, for those of you that are just tuning in, I think it's important to note that do not serve other gods, but be mindful of other things that you might be worshiping. They might not be called gods, but they may be taking your attention away from God himself. And it could be superficial things. It could be status, status in an industry or whatever, anything that will be taking you away from being grateful and understanding that God is your purpose here. Your purpose is not any other selfish human flesh thing. So then it says in verse 21, actually, I'll do 20 because it's a run-on sentence. Verse 20, in the future, when your son asks you, what is the meaning of the stipulations, decrees, and laws the Lord your God has commanded you? Tell him, we were slaves of Pharaoh in Egypt, but the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Before our eyes, the Lord sent signs and wonders, great and terrible, on Egypt and Pharaoh and his whole household. But he brought us out from there to bring us in and give us the land he promised, an oath to our ancestors. The Lord commanded us to obey all these decrees and to fear the Lord our God, so that we might always prosper and be kept alive, as is the case today. And if we are careful to obey all this law before the Lord our God, and he has commanded us, that will be our righteousness. So, this is in the Bible a way to respond to your children when they're trying to say, well, why do we celebrate the Lord and why do we have faith in God? How do we know that there is a God? So this is our history. This is the explanation. And that is it